Syria's transport ministry announced that the main highway between Damascus and Aleppo is open to the public after regime troops retook control in a Russian-backed offensive. Transport Minister Ali Hamoud announced the opening of the Damascus-Aleppo highway to traffic, placing it at the service of citizens. Clearing insurgents from the highway was part of a 2018 Russian-Turkish deal that called for creating a buffer zone between combatants in the Idlib region of the northwest, though fighting was raged on. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said his country has sent Syrian opposition fighters to Libya. He said there are also people from the Syrian National Army, referring to opposition fighters who were previously known as the Free Syrian Army. He also said that his country will continue to support the GNA and renewed his attack on LNA leader Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar, saying that he was mercenary and has illegal status. Israeli forces shot and killed a suspected in Jerusalem's annexed Old City after he approached officers posted near one of the gates armed with a knife. Police did not immediately release further details on the identity of the suspect, but said that at approximately 11 a.m., a man approached border police officers at Lions Gate armed with a knife. Police responded by calling upon him to stop, but they shot and killed him after he continued to approach him. 10 new cases of coronavirus has been detected in Iran, one of whom has died. The new numbers bring the total number of cases of the new coronavirus in the country to 28, with 5 of the total having died. People are receiving treatment in at least 4 different cities, including the capital Tehran, where some pharmacies had already run out of masks and hand sanitizers. The Pentagon said the number of U.S. troops who sustained traumatic brain injury when Iran launched missiles at the Ain al-Assad air base in western Iraq last month has risen to 110. The figure is one higher than the last toll, which was announced on February 10th. All of the wounded were diagnosed with mild traumatic brain injury, the Pentagon said in a statement, adding that 77 had already returned to duty. London police charged a 29-year-old homeless man with causing grievous bodily harm and possessing an illegal knife he used to stab a mosque muezzin. Suspect Daniel Horton stabbed London Central Mosque's muezzin Ra'fat Maglad around the top of his shoulder during daily prayers on Thursday. Maglad was treated at the London hospital and returned to the mosque for Friday's evening service with his arm wrapping in a sling. The Saudi General Directorate of Passports has announced the continuation of the suspension of traveling of citizens and expatriates to Iran. The measure comes within the framework of the health procedures adopted in the kingdom to prevent any new coronavirus infections. Based on the requirements of maintaining public health, the entry of non-Saudi travelers who have previously been in Iran shall not be allowed until after the expiration of a period that exceeds the maximum limit of the incubation period of the virus after their departure from Iran. South Sudan rebel leader Riek Machar was sworn in as first vice president, formally rejoining the government and opening a new chapter in its fragile emergence from 6 years of war. The world's youngest nation slid into civil war in 2013, 2 years after winning a long-fought independence from Sudan, as supporters of President Salva Kiir and Machar clashed. Numerous attempts at peace failed, including a deal that saw Machar return as vice president in 2016, only to flee the country on foot months later amid fresh gunfire. The Finnish government announced that it has agreed to take in up to 175 asylum seekers from camps in Cyprus, Greece, Italy, and Malta to alleviate the humanitarian situation experienced by refugees in the Mediterranean members of the European Union. The Finnish Interior Ministry said in its statement that the Nordic country of 5.5 million would wish to bring in primarily vulnerable asylum seekers of children and single-parent families eligible for international protection from countries such as Syria and Afghanistan. Tunisia's tourism ministry has said there were promising economic indicators pointing to a successful tourism season. Growth rate stood at around 13% by mid-February compared with the same period in 2019. It estimated about 650,000 tourists to have visited the country, a boom that has brought about 350 million Tunisian dinars, more than $122 million in hard currency. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defense, chaired a meeting of the Saudi High Commission for Hydrocarbons where he was informed of the plans. The field's gas volume resources and its reservoirs is estimated at 200 trillion cubic feet of wet gas and will provide a net income of $8.6 billion annually, according to the state news agency. Crown Prince Mohammed hailed Saudi Aramco for developing the field, saying it will help transform Saudi Arabia into one of the world's leading gas producers. The G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meetings taking place in Saudi Arabia's capital seek to enhance economic growth through financial mechanisms. The talks will be chaired by the kingdom's finance minister Mohammed Al-Jadaan and central bank governor Ahmed Al-Khulaifi. For his part, Khulaifi said that the meetings will discuss the world's economic situation and mechanisms for facing global monetary, financial, and economic challenges. According to data by the Federal State Statistics Service, Russia is seeking to reverse its birth rate decline with hefty payouts to new parents. According to the new legislation, for the birth of a first child as of the beginning of this year, a family or single parent can receive about 466,000 rupees, which is $7,300. That amount is about the equivalent of 10 times the average national monthly salary. For a second child, the payout would be about 616,000 rupees, the lower house of parliament said in a statement. Ethiopia's government retrieved a priceless 18th century crown that a former refugee had kept hidden in his apartment in the Netherlands for 2 decades. The handover took place at a ceremony in the capital, Addis Ababa, attended by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and Sigrid Kaag, the Dutch Minister for Foreign Trade and Development Cooperation. Sira Kasfau, the one-time refugee who is now a Dutch citizen, fled Ethiopia during the late 1970s during the so-called Red Terror purges. He found the gilded crown, which features images of the Christ and the 12 apostles, in 1998 in a suitcase left behind by a visitor. At the invitation of Greece, Egyptian Minister of Tourism and Antiquities Khaled Anani visited Athena, where he met with his Greek counterpart to discuss means of boosting coastal and maritime tourism cooperation. The discussions aimed to revive a 2017 tripartite agreement on cruise tourism between Egypt, Greece, and Cyprus. The meeting tackled the Egyptian tourism programs on the religious tourism to which Greek tourists gravitate. A Cairo criminal court acquitted the 2 sons of Egypt's former President Hosni Mubarak, Alaa and Jamal, along with 7 other co-defendants of charges of stock market manipulation. The charges included embezzling at least $493.628 million after they decided to sell a Watani Bank of Egypt for profiteering via selling the bank assets in the stock exchange. The Mubarak's lawyer, Farid Deeb, said the charges aimed at defaming his client's reputation, adding that they did not deal in the bank's shares. Deeb noted that 34 shareholders, apart from Alaa and Jamal, who traded in shares and they were not criminalized, saying there is no crime at all.